Hello there. While the press has been concentrating on the fallout of Angela Rayner's defenestration from top-line politics, the UK government is moving closer to recognising Palestine as a state, and all the horror that will ensue from that decision. The United Nations will be starting their 80th session of the UN General Assembly on Tuesday, and Keir Starmer has threatened to recognise the state of Palestine at that session unless Israel basically surrenders to the Hamas terrorists. And according to reports, the very recently former Foreign Secretary, now Deputy Labour leader David Lammy, all but confirmed to the families of hostages that a Palestinian state could be recognised by the UK, even while Hamas rules Gaza and retains hostages. Here's what a joint statement by those families said. The Foreign Secretary gave us a straight answer to a question which officials in our previous meetings had avoided, namely, whether it is possible the UK could recognise a Palestinian state if hostages were still held by Hamas. He answered yes. And with our new Pally-loving Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood in place, I see only more pressure to do so. The rewards for Hamas for engaging in those horrors on October the 7th, 2023. How could such a decision to recognise Palestine not embolden Hamas to pursue further such horrific action? Anyway, here's the full statement Starmer made on this issue on the 29th of July.
On the 7th of October 2023, Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israel's history. Every day since then, the horror has continued. The hostages are still being held today. The Palestinian people have endured terrible suffering. Now, in Gaza, because of a catastrophic failure of aid, we see starving babies, children too weak to stand, images that will stay with us for a lifetime. The suffering must end. Yesterday, I discussed this with President Trump, and we're mounting a major effort to get humanitarian supplies back in by air, and UK aid has been airdropped into Gaza today, and crucially, by land. We need to see at least 500 trucks entering Gaza every day. But ultimately, the only way to bring this humanitarian crisis to an end is through a long-term settlement. So we are supporting the US, Egyptian and Qatari efforts to secure a vital ceasefire. That ceasefire must be sustainable, and it must lead to a wider peace plan, which we're developing with our international partners. This plan will deliver security and proper governance in Gaza and pave the way for negotiations on a two-state solution. Our goal remains a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable and sovereign Palestinian state. But right now, that goal is under pressure like never before. I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply of aid and making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank. Meanwhile, our message to the terrorists of Hamas is unchanged and unequivocal. They must immediately release all of the hostages, sign up to a ceasefire, disarm, and accept that they will play no part in the government of Gaza. And we'll make an assessment in September on how far the parties have met these steps, but no one should have a veto over our decision. So this is the way forward. We will keep working with all our international partners to end the suffering, get aid flooding into Gaza, and deliver a more stable future for the Middle East. Because I know that is what the British people desperately want to see. Thank you.
And as far as I can see, none of those one-sided requirements so vehemently laid out by Keir Starmer have been met. Now please like, subscribe and comment below, and join our channel membership, and subscribe to our other channel Tripe and Whatnot for bite-sized snippets from this channel. Links in the descriptions box below. Nor do those requirements look likely to be met anytime soon. So one assumes this new Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, will be authorising the UK delegation to the UN to recognise the undefined Palestinian state that has a proscribed terrorist organisation in the form of Hamas ruling a part of their so-called territory. But as I've said before, many experts believe that recognising a state of Palestine in this way would actually breach the Montevideo Convention, which requires a state to have a defined territory, a permanent population, a government, and the capacity to have relations with other states. Looking at that list, you can see the absurdity of even bothering to start the process with Palestine, unless it's all just political optics. And when have the norms of international law ever bothered Keir Starmer and Lord Hermer? Well, when they want it to, of course. But right now, Keir Starmer is trying to fend off the rise of Nigel Farage and Reform UK, the members of which I suspect are not too keen on a Palestinian state being formed, nor of what Yvette Cooper said during her recent speech before being shuffled from the Home Office to the Foreign Office.
Finally, Mr Speaker, let me update the House on the continued legal and controlled support that we will provide for those facing conflict and persecution. We will continue to do our bit to support Ukraine, extending the Ukraine Permission Extension Scheme by a further 24 months, with further details to be set out in due course. We're also taking immediate action to rescue children who have been seriously injured in the horrendous onslaught on civilians in Gaza so they can get the health treatment they need. And the Foreign Secretary will update the House shortly on the progress to get those children out.
One assumes all concerned will, under the right to a family life, be bringing their kin with them as well. And don't forget the new expedited Gaza student visa scheme too. All putting more strain on our health service, housing and other public services. But maybe we'll have a larger availability of delivery drivers and riders.